Good evening. Welcome to Music City Online with Nashville music producer Gary Earl. Tonight, we've got a great guest for a lot of you out there that are indie artists. I know we've got a lot of followers that are. We have Vinny Ribas with us tonight, founder and CEO of Indie Connect, which mentors indie artists in a multitude of ways. Vinny is also a strategic business consultant, music industry consultant, workshop facilitator, and mastermind facilitator. He's co-founder and president of LeaderBridge, author of CEO Secrets, What They Know About Business That Every Entrepreneur Should, as well as ebooks and hundreds of business and music industry articles. And you've recently released Help My Kid's a Musician, which it's a video series,
right.
Is that right?
It's a course, a 2-hour course.
Yeah, terrific. And you can get that online at helpmykidsamusician.com. And we will have links on the video for your website and Twitter and how else to get a hold of you as we go. So perhaps we should start off with asking exactly what is Indie Connect and what you do, what service you provide, and why our listeners would be smart to hook up with you.
Okay. Well, Indie Connect is basically an organization that I started to connect people from the industry, connect artists with people in the industry, connect artists with each other, songwriters with each other, the whole 9 yards, and also to educate them. And it actually started as a very informal luncheon. I got a couple of guys together and said, why don't we meet once a week and just talk music business? And the first week that I did it, this is in Nashville, I had 5 people coming, and somebody heard about it in LA and called me up and said, I want to start the LA chapter. Of what? We got 5 guys getting together for lunch. But one of them had put it in his newsletter. I also had a videographer that came to the meetings. He came to the first 2, and I always had somebody speaking at him. One of us, just the group that was there.
Right.
What do you do in the industry? Tell us a little bit. And he said, these talks are way too beneficial. I'm going to start videotaping these.
Cool.
And before I knew it, I had 30, 40 people coming every week to these meetings.
Yeah.
So we said, we've got a business here.
Yeah.
And so people were benefiting tremendously. We had, it turned into amazing speakers, people from the industry at all different levels calling me to come and speak because they just wanted to share their expertise.
Right.
And they wanted to give back in a lot of cases. So we had some amazing people. But the best part was that we recorded it all. And so online we have over 100 full-length video workshops.
Wow.
And about 20 audio workshops and over 100 articles from a lot of experts, but also I've done a lot of that. And so it's a very, very rich library of music industry training. What I found is that a lot of people get lost in it because it's just, you look up marketing and here's 50 different things. Yeah. So I started a mentoring program. And it's a little bit of one-on-one and a lot of group mentoring so that I can find out exactly what you need. And then instead of just having to explain to you, well, this is how you go get into film and TV, I say, oh, here's Gary Earl's video. Go watch that. Whatever it is that they want. I pretty much have just about everything covered. We keep adding new stuff. And so it's educating people on the very practical side of the business. For indie artists, we get a lot of students from Belmont that come, and they've got a lot of very formal training, but they may have a degree in music management, but they've never managed an indie artist.
Right.
It's just a different ballgame when you're dealing with indies. You're not dealing with major labels. So I don't know the major label side of things. I know what's going to make you attractive to that, but I've never been on that side. There are people who have been on that side and can coach you there. But if you're looking just to learn how to be a more successful artist in the sense that you're getting paid for your gigs, you're getting paid well, you're putting on good shows, you're monetizing your fan base and things like that, that's where I come in. That's where Indie Connect is perfect.
Yeah, you're filling a need that I'm unaware of that's ever been filled by anyone else before. There's a number of organizations that do similar things for songwriters.
Exactly.
And they're well organized and everywhere, but not for indie artists.
Not for artists, right.
Usually they're, wandering in the woods by themselves.
It's true. And we did start having chapters all around the country, but finding the people to run those, it's always a difficult thing. And so we've kind of decided that we're going to move everything online. And as you know, 2 years ago we ran the first virtual music conference. We had 500 people from around the world online for a weekend, connecting with each other, showcasing their music, connecting with people. In fact, this past week I did an interview with Andrew Apanoff. I don't know if you met him, but he is the founder of UltimateGuitar.com, and he's out of Poland, and he's got a blog. Okay. And so we did a Skype interview, and that came out of, he was one of the speakers, because we had speakers from 15 different countries.
Wow.
At the conference. So I think that's one of the things that's happening, is everything is going online, and you'll never replace a handshake, but you'll be doing a lot more as Skype gets better, as more people are doing these virtual events and everything. I think that's going to be a huge part of what you need to be aware of as a trend in the industry, in the technology.
Definitely, it is, and you're exactly right. Even I mean, every part of the music industry, even songwriting, is. I do more and more writing over Skype.
Absolutely.
Than ever before, because, quite frankly, it enables you to get in touch with and connect with other communities in, other states and other countries, as you said, too.
Yeah, so, and even the technology side of the instruments, where you can put the drum tracks on here and the piano tracks, and then somebody else puts a guitar track from Poland or someplace else, and it's just instantaneous.
Yeah, terrific. So that's a wealth of information there, obviously. So you actually have been out playing gigs, too. I've got a photo here, I believe. Is this from...
I was 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
So 1972.
Wow.
And that's my natural hair, because that's when you're in Connecticut and it's all kinds of muggy out.
Oh, that's your natural hair?
That's my natural hair.
Oh, that's funny.
And I was in a country band, so the hair does not match the country band. The drums do not match a country band, because I was a rock drummer before I got hired by them. In fact, before I got hired by them, I never even heard country. And it was a last-minute thing. They called me and said, our drummer quit tonight. We heard that you can play drums. Can you fill in?
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with country.
Wow, that's cool. I was going to say, in my days in the casinos, playing, I had an Afro too in the 80s, but mine took a lot of
preparation.
Permanent, yes, it was a lot of work. So, plus I was always very Gary Shandling-like about my hair, so I
remember Gary.
I loved having the Afro, and I loved shaving it. So it's terrific.
Cool. Very cool.
So you were in Reno too, on the road, weren't you? So we may have actually even played on the same stage, or seen each other back in those days.
I'm sure.
Reno and Tahoe, Winnemucca, Las Vegas,
the whole Elko, the whole 9 yards, around there.
Exactly. Wow, that was a fun time. It was a lot of bad gigs, though, which brings up, how about a gig from hell story?
A gig from hell story.
I had a few of those around the casinos.
Only a few?
Yeah, only a few.
This is like, which one do I pick? I think probably the one that stands out the most, the one I use as an example the most of what not to do,
right,
is we got a call on a Friday morning that a band had canceled, and we happened to be open. Our agent knew that we were open. And he said, it's a club in Placerville, which was 50 miles outside of Tahoe.
Right.
And he said, are you guys open to go play? Sure, no problem. We're a classic country band. We do a lot of Patsy Cline. That's what we do, and contemporary country. Kathy Mattea at the time and things like that.
Yeah.
We get there, and it's a biker bar, and normally they have heavy metal. So that's what they were expecting. They had no idea who we were, that we were going to be brought in there, and it was quite interesting. I had a tremendous lead singer. It was her band. She was amazing, and she actually won them over. We had a blast. Wow. Fortunately, I had a few rockers in the band that we could do Sweet Home Alabama for a half hour, and they loved that. Born to Be Wild. But, we were not what they were expecting.
Yeah.
And they tipped us well. They
Wow.
absolutely loved it. But in the beginning, it was the gig from hell. There's no question. Absolutely no question.
You're lucky there weren't beer bottles flying on the stage.
I've been in those. I've had my share of those.
I played a gig once that had the chicken wire.
I did that.
In front of the stage. And
the R Bar in Reno.
Oh, really? In Reno even? Oh, wow. I didn't play that one. I missed that one. I think mine was in Fallon, right outside of Reno. So.
I'll tell you a really interesting gig that I had.
Yeah.
It was, have you ever been hired to kick the audience out?
No.
If I could give you any advice out there,
Yeah.
always know what it is that the club, why the club hires you.
Wow.
Why the club hires the entertainment, but why the club is hiring you. I was hired and I had a duo, and we did very mellow stuff. We had a drum
Right.
machine, and it was before the really decent sounding drum machines came out. So
Right.
it was a Roland TR-707
Exactly.
kind
I had one of those.
But we were great. My partner, she played piano, she sang beautifully. Barbra Streisand, that kind of stuff. I mean, we were great for a nice, quiet lounge, a little bit of dance music,
Right.
but and we toured all over doing that. It was great. We were hired to go into a club in Orlando, Florida, that had nothing but trouble there. They had really, really bad audience. And they wanted to get rid of them because the people from the hotel wouldn't go into the lounge.
Gotcha.
So they hired
yeah.
us and an Elvis impersonator. And we had the afternoon shift from 4 to 8, and he did 8 to 12. And it didn't take but 2 days, and not a soul was left in the place, and they were so happy.
Wow.
It was just amazing. And we played for 2 weeks with nobody there except a few people coming down from the rooms, because people weren't booking the rooms because the place was really rowdy at night. It was a really bad crowd. In fact, the Elvis impersonator, first night he was there, he had his hubcap stolen from his van. So you get the picture. It's there are all kinds of gigs, and I've been told I tried to book one band into a casino, and we were told that they were too good. Can't hire them, too good. They're going to draw people away from the tables and make them come here and stay. We didn't want that.
My wife Robin and I actually got fired from the, I think it was the Reno Hilton. We were playing on a big round stage with a bar around it in the center of the casino, and there was a bartender that did an Elvis impersonation, and then he juggled glasses and stuff. So we started doing this Elvis medley for him, and he started juggling glasses, turning the color up, and people flocked over when we went on 5, 6, 7 minutes, and they were like 5 deep at the bar all the way around, and the floor manager stormed over and just like, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired. All 3 of us just fired us on the spot.
Don't you dare touch the people that are at their machines.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's really interesting. I had another, if we've got time.
Sure.
One more interesting one. I was hired at Harris in Reno to play 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. Duo.
Yeah.
And midnight, nobody's there all week long. And we were playing James Taylor and a lot of country stuff. My partner did a lot of Marty Robbins type of stuff, really mellow stuff. I like that stuff.
Right.
Finally, I went up to the pit boss and I said, why are we here? I mean, I'm not trying to talk myself out of a job, but why do they even bring us in here when there's nobody here? He said, you're here to make sure that the dealers are awake in case a high roller comes in.
I knew that.
Okay. So we went and learned all the dealers' names, their favorite songs. We learned the songs. We kept them awake. We partied with them. They had a blast. And the place loved us.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have to know why the club is hiring you, and you specifically, exactly why they're hiring you. Because a lot of times you make assumptions, and I've seen it too many times. Bands make assumptions. They'll try to get the people up to dance even though there's no dance floor. In a lot of places, you have to have a license for that. And I mean, I've been in that situation where they said, no, we don't want them dancing. You stay mellow, but they're getting rowdy. They're getting louder. No, you stay mellow. Stay mellow. We if they come in here and they're dancing, they close us down. Okay.
Yeah, well, we could probably go on all night long with these.
I'm sure.
Because I got a bunch myself. Wow. Well, tell us something about yourself. Give us like some fun fact that maybe people who work with you already don't even know about you.
I spent 12 years working with people with disabilities.
Wow.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Worked in nonprofits, managed nonprofits, or co-managed, assistant manager. And I absolutely love that. That's my passion away from music.
It has a lot about your heart.
Well,
So,
I had a cousin
passionate about
who had a disability,
Yeah.
and that's how I got started with it. And it's just, it amazes me how some people treat them.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about people that have Down syndrome and cerebral palsy and multiple sclerosis, and a lot of
Yes.
people can't even go around them if they're too deformed or whatever. And
Right.
it didn't bother me. They're people. I mean, I was 360 pounds at the time. You know, fortunately, I'm not that anymore. But
Yeah.
you know, I was just as disabled as they were,
Yes.
and you know, in my own way. So
You know, that's an excellent point you bring up, because in my career, I've spent a lot of time around some very, very famous people and gotten to know some of them fairly well. Like, I've been to lunch 3 times with Clint Eastwood, you know, and taken to dinner by Donna Summers, and invited to parties, and you know, just, and the whole reason why I get into their lives, you know, past work, is probably just because I treat them like everybody else, like normal people. And it's the same way when, if I go into a rest home, you know, because that little lady sitting there who's 90 years old and can't walk anymore, you know, inside her brain, she's the same person she's been her
That's
whole
right.
life, and doesn't want or expect to be treated any differently, you know. So
when I said I work with people with disabilities, I thought you were going to say, "Well, now I understand why you work with musicians."
oh yeah, but yeah, I should have said, oh, drummers. That's okay. I'm a drummer too. It's okay. But yeah, drummers do take too much heat already. It's
Yes.
true. So.
Yes. Well,
But
it depends on who's giving it.
no,
Bass
you,
players get
you know,
it.
I spent my first like 15 years playing mostly on keyboards and guitars. You know, I actually really only started doing all my own drumming about 10 years ago, because I got to the point where, after getting a lot of experience and having a lot of cuts and producing a lot of tracks, I started realizing that if you don't have great drums, you know, with most music, you don't really have anything.
Right.
You know, not counting a singer-songwriter, you really got to have great drums. It's the foundation for the whole band, you know.
It's so hard to find a drummer who is great in the studio.
Yeah.
It's so different than being a live drummer.
Well,
so different.
Yeah, see, I can do the studio, but live, I'm probably not that good, because I'm not that exciting overtly, and that
And
whole
I'm the
animals,
live
but-
drummer.
Yeah,
I love that. I thrive on that.
Yeah.
You put me in the studio and it's too regimented, and it, you know,
Yeah.
you can't, you know, it's like follow the metronome. No.
Oh,
No,
yeah, there you go.
No, I'm not a studio drummer. I'm
That's
not
good.
that disciplined.
Well, what's the best advice that you've ever got? Now, that could mean when you were a musician, when you were a kid, whatever, as a businessman.
Surround yourself with people who are smarter than you.
That's pretty good advice.
It is by far the
Yeah.
only thing that's gotten me to where I am, you know, and especially as a musician.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to explain this. I was a terrible keyboard player. I was good on drums, but drum machines put me out of business. In Connecticut, there were
Yeah.
very few clubs that had, you know, that had bands with drummers. Everyone was going to even trios with a drum machine.
For a track.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so it was crazy. So I had to learn something else. So I learned keyboards, and I played a little bit of rhythm guitar.
Yeah.
But I had these big, fat, sloppy fingers. I never rehearsed. I never practiced. I wasn't that disciplined. I did the absolute minimum. But I had a strength, and that was I was really good at string lines and horn parts and making singers sound great. In fact, when I had my duo for most of my for like 10 years, I had a great piano player with me, and we had 2 keyboards, and I was doing all the embellishments. I can't sing on pitch. I really got to practice a song to be perfectly on pitch.
Yeah.
So I had to know what songs I could really do. What, you know, I was good at 50s and 60s where I can get people singing along,
Right.
and they didn't care if I was a little off pitch. But you know, compared to somebody who's a really good singer, I'm not even close. And at times when I had other good singers in the band, they would pull out the duck type and tape me up to keep me quiet, because I would be singing away. But the bottom line was, I made a great living at it because I always had better players. And I always knew what my place was. My place was to make them shine. And so I always had somebody who was a great singer, somebody who would really shine on keyboards or guitar or something that could carry the show, and I could be the support, because that's where I was best. And the same, came to the business side of things. Very early on, I was fortunate enough, unfortunate enough and fortunate enough, I was working with an agent, and he booked us on a cruise ship down in the Caribbean for 6 months, and that was awesome. But when we came back, we didn't have any work.
Right.
He didn't realize that we were coming back, even though I sent him we couldn't send him an email. This is in the 80s, but so he said, "Why don't you come work for me? It's just getting too busy here." So I actually worked in a booking agency, and then when he got out of the industry, I ended up opening my own booking agency, and I did it mainly to take the best gigs, but. I'm being honest about it. I wanted to play weddings and corporate events, and I wanted them to come to me.
Right.
So if I have the agency and the biggest ad in the Yellow Pages, I'm going to get the one. Oh, here's the band you need to listen to. Remember, we didn't have very much video then. Here's the band you need to listen to.
You're right.
So
in the 80s, virtually no video.
Yeah,
that's true.
Some bands had a VCR, had a videotape, but but anyway, it was. I learned how to book and be booked.
Yeah.
From somebody who was good at that. I also had a friend who was a great entertainer, and he taught me how to be an entertainer even though I wasn't a great singer. And I had another friend who taught me the business side of things, taught me some of the legal things. I just surrounded myself with people who knew the things that I didn't know. And I've carried that over, anytime. When I started Indie Connect, it could have been just my wife and I, but we have a board of advisors. And they're from all different areas of the industry. Just somebody that I can go to and say, "What do I do about this? Who do I tap into for this expertise? I've got an artist that has this challenge. What do I do?" And they're all willing to help out. And you have to surround yourself with people who know more than you do, who are better than you are, smarter than you are. You become the CEO of the company. I do a lot of business coaching, and if you're the CEO of the company, you're the guardian. You step back and you let other people do the work, and they create the money, and you can still have your active role, but you should be in a position where you can back away from that and
not micromanage.
Right. And it's not counting on your hours for dollars. So if I were to start another band now, I would start one where I would play drums when I wanted to, but most of the time I'd have a backup drummer, and I could just book it out there. But if I want to do the gig, I'll do it. So just surround yourself with people who are better than you, and they will know how to make them shine, and they will make you shine. People won't even realize that you're not at the same level that they are, and they will lift you up to that level.
That's cool. So someone that wants to connect with you and that wants to get started with Indie Connect, what are the steps that they would take?
Just go to indieconnect.com, INDIE. Connect.com, and all the information's on there about the different programs. And that library that I talked about, most of that is free. You can look at almost all of the 100 videos. I mean, I have some that are very pro-level things, and those are for the people that I'm mentoring. But almost everything on there is free. So there are hundreds of articles, and the articles have gone around the world. I mean, I've had MySpace call me to put articles on their section. I mean, it's good. It's meaty stuff. What we're known for is stuff that's really down to earth. It's not fluff.
Yeah.
And it's not all marketing.
Right.
There are a lot of people out there that are experts in marketing. But I've got an audio on there, for example, on how to book a wedding. How do you talk to the bride? Who do you talk to, first of all? How do you book the wedding? How do you do the wedding? How do you perform it?
Yeah.
There's nothing else out there like that. We try to cover the things that nobody else is covering. The course that you talked about, Help My Kid's a Musician, is for the parents of young musicians. What are the kids going through? What's going through their mind? How much should I invest in them? How do I deal with sibling rivalry when they start getting all the attention? How do I protect them? How much equipment should I buy? How do I know that this is the right studio, or it's time to record? I mean, all the things of educating your child, protecting them, encouraging, supporting them. All those things, that's what it covers. Because nobody else is doing that, and I see too many parents getting ripped off.
Yeah. Someone told me a while back that their parents had spent like $150K at various recording projects for them, and
I see it all the time. It's not just parents. I mean, I had one young couple that came into one of my meetings, and they had just spent $25,000 here in Nashville for 5 songs in the studio. Okay, now good sounding songs, but the producer picked the songs out, And one of the songs
yeah.
was not cleared. It would never been recorded. So they were not allowed to use their 1,000 CDs that they got them.
And they didn't even clear it with the
Didn't clear it with the publisher.
Oh, jeez.
So
at that kind of price,
and they put that all on credit cards.
Yeah,
22 years old, put it all on credit cards.
And at that kind of price, you should be getting, you know, radio level, film, TV, total, you know, great. But and the producer shouldn't be the one picking the songs. Definitely not. Yeah. Well.
So you know, they saw them coming. So I really see that with parents. You know, even as far as going into a music store, and you know, they see the parent that's willing to spend money on their kid. Oh, he needs this guitar and this amplifier. Yeah. You know, and 2 weeks later, the kid gets a girlfriend and forget about music.
And the guitar's in the closet.
That's it.
Yeah,
you know, so I cringe when I think about those horror stories, and they're rampant. They're everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, a good example of what you're talking about is over there on the wall. That's the Travel Martin. That's literally the Ed Sheeran guitar. Mm-hmm. It's, I think, about 300, 350 at most. And it's not even all wood. It's a lot of composite, you know. And that's the one that Ed Sheeran used on all of his big hits. Same exact model. Now, they make an Ed Sheeran model now, but you pay an extra $100 for his name on it.
I'm sure you do.
But I mean, it's a perfectly wonderful guitar, and granted, it's not as good as my anniversary Taylor, but you know, but for
you get
what
to the
I
point
do,
where that's what you want, that's what you need.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's.
But most few people do. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, your kid doesn't need a Marshall stack when he's 12 years old.
No. You need a 112-inch
or all these effect pedals and stuff when they haven't got a clue what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, with them, and you know, it's just. They see you coming. They see the parents coming. They see the kids coming.
Yeah.
And it's just sad. It's a shame.
So Indie Connect covers things that can. You have articles about marketing, articles about booking, articles about how to communicate with, you know, people who are booking you. I mean, you've got a huge range of
absolutely on
everything
on performance skills, on vocal training. Judy Rodman, Melissa Ellen, a bunch of them have done lessons on that. Like Judy Rodman's got a great one on how to get the best vocals in the studio.
Yeah,
which is a whole different ball game, and she's
live. Yeah. And I know you've got TV and film.
Yeah, how to get into film and TV.
Yeah.
But also, like Donna Caldwell did a great one, not just on how to get into it, but she's a former music supervisor. So how do you write for film and TV? What is it that she was looking for besides the song that's going to be at the beginning of the movie? And you know, that's what everybody's hoping for. But what are they looking for in those songs that are in the background? You know, that's playing on a jukebox or something.
Where's your first cut going to come? It's not going to be the main title theme. Yeah. Well, so, not very good odds of it anyway.
Right. Yeah. And so just, I mean, all the little nuances of the business. I like to talk about just different ways that people can create income that they don't think about. And, you know, I think nowadays more and more artists have to become more entrepreneurial. And they have to think outside the box. They can't think of just the income streams that have been so prevalent over the last 20 years or so, because it's changing. Everybody knows, you know, and there's a lot of talk about, will Apple Music save the day? I don't think so. I don't know all the details, so I can't really go there. I mean, it hasn't, the dust hasn't settled yet. They haven't even launched yet. So depending on when you're seeing this, you know, this may be a wrong statement. But I think that it's still, at this point, it's up to the artist to find the ways to do several things. One, to convert any viewers or fans, people that hear their music, convert them into fans that will buy, or fans that will come to see your show. And that's the hardest thing for most artists to do. I see, and it's just business.
And they need to remember they can buy a lot of things besides the music, and merchandise and T-shirts.
Absolutely. And very often when it comes to that kind of stuff, they are very cliched. You know, the next band has T-shirts and mugs or whatever, so that's what I'm going to have. No, what are you known for? What is your crowd really about? What do they love about you? Now get some merchandise that really caters to that. Yeah, like, you know, if they're upper income and the women wear jewelry, then have a jewelry line. You can get that in the same way that you can get a mug.
There's a great company here in Nashville, Flow Motion. that are you familiar with them? You
I've heard the name.
They make the glowing bands, and for Iggy Azalea, they made a little cat thing you stick on your head, and you look like a cat with neon glowing LEDs. I mean, just unique things like that. And she has sold millions of those, millions.
Yeah, so, I mean, one of the things that I tell artists is, think about something that's going to sell outside of you playing, you performing. What can actually go into some kind of an online store, or that you can actually sell into retail? If you have something, developed that works, have something with, rather than having your logo on it, something that has a song title on it that's referred to you, but something that people will want to buy that song title. So a shirt that has a song title on it that is really cool song title, people will buy whether it has your logo on it or not. They like the saying.
Yeah.
So you start thinking like a business person, and what can I do outside of just here? Where can my music fit outside of just trying to get paid from Spotify and trying to sell CDs? I think that, well, one example I like to use is a company that I started a long time ago. It was called Volunteer Appreciation. And what we did is we went to nonprofit organizations, and I said, I will record some success stories from your organization, and I will write some songs for you, and we'll go in the studio and record the songs, and we'll put a CD together that you can go ahead and give to your volunteers, to your donors, to your employees as a thank you gift.
That's cool.
And it's different than getting a plaque that they're just, it's going to collect dust, or a mug that is going to get broken or whatever. This is something that really lets them know why what they did is so important. And we sold 10,000 to the Nevada Commission on Sports.
Wow.
We sold, they were trying to bring the Olympics to the area. Yeah. We sold, I sold 1,000 to the YMCA here. I mean, it was just, we had a license with Chicken Soup for the Soul to do it for Chicken Soup for the Soul CDs for different nonprofit organizations. We ran into a legal snag with the first one and decided it wasn't going to be worth it because of just the nature of the nonprofits and the fact that even though you have like a national organization, each one is individual and they all have to have their own board of directors approve things and stuff. So, but I mean, we're thinking outside of the box. And I got some great demos because I had written songs that went ahead and went on projects that somebody else paid for.
There you go. Exactly.
So I think that artists have to start looking at the alternative incomes that are still tied to their music. I'm not saying, I mean, yes, if you want to be a guitar teacher or something, great. Look at, there are places online, and besides doing it on Skype, there are places like Live Music Tutor where they've got students coming there to look for teachers in different styles and everything, from anywhere in the world, because the whole system is online. So you can do that if that's what you want to do. But there are ways that you can get your music out there. There are ways that you can convert fans into buyers. I've got a friend who lives down in Murfreesboro who does nothing but YouTube videos. 3 a week, makes about six figures, because he's done it for years. He does mostly cover songs, but he puts his originals out there, and every single cover song that he puts up there, he has being sold on iTunes. So he's got a link there. So he has a way of converting people directly to being a purchaser. And he's gotten to the point where he's got enough of a following where people, they belong to his channel, they subscribe to it, and every single time a song comes down, they automatically just go and download it. Yeah. So he's created a channel for those sales outside of everything else that's out there. So he never, he says, I'm kind of a fool not to go out and tour because I've got so many fans now. I'm getting, he puts out a song and gets 1 million hits. But it took years to get there. But YouTube shares in the revenue with him. But he also monetizes everything. And when he puts out an original song, they still listen, and they still go and buy the music. So, but he tracks them with the covers.
My son wrote an article for Jolt magazine, which is out of California. It's a teenage entrepreneurial magazine. And he wrote one about monetizing on YouTube and the money that can be made. And we did a little research, and this is probably 1.5 years old now or so, but we took the top 20 money earners on YouTube and found out how much each were making. And one of those bands, I've I'm spacing the name of the band now, but one of those is a band that only does covers on YouTube, and they made $8 million 2 years ago.
It's amazing.
Off their covers.
It's amazing.
Now, the band has actually since become relatively famous because I believe they started out as being the band for American Idol on show. So they're obviously excellent musicians, but the point is, I can't fathom making that much money on cover songs. That's just unheard of, and it's something that only you can do today.
Sure you don't want to play cover songs? You only want to do originals?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and actually I had another client, a musician down the Florida Keys that I mixed albums for, and he was doing an album every year of all original material. He had a couple of people down there say, hey, you know what, you have this killer version of House of the Rising Sun, you should put it on your next album. So he put a House of the Rising Sun on his next album. His sales went up tenfold. So now he's at a point where he puts 3 covers, very famous covers, Stairway to Heaven,
Absolutely.
on each album, and he sells like 10,000 albums.
When people don't know you, they may not know you, but they know those songs, and they search for those songs. And if somebody really loves a song, they'll listen to other versions of it. And if they like you, if you're good, I mean, you're not. This isn't somebody just sitting playing guitar and singing, and it sounds exactly like the original record.
Right.
You're doing your own twist to it, and
Exactly.
I mean, this guy that's down in Murfreesboro, his stuff, he plays piano and he uses three cameras around him, 3 laptops that he uses the cameras from to do it all. Records it first on Pro Tools, and but it is, I mean, he can do a really up-tempo hard rock song, but it'll be a piano ballad, and people love it because he's just doing something different. He's So what I always tell artists, if you really like a song, pay tribute to the songwriter by doing the song.
Yeah.
Think of it that way. Don't think about it as a cover or, I'm copying it. Because don't you want your song someday to be covered by a whole lot of people?
Oh, yeah.
So why not? Why would you have a double standard there? I don't want to cover anybody else's, but I want everybody to record mine. After you're not performing anymore, you're going to be very thankful that other people recorded your song.
One of my best friends is the guy that wrote and sang In the Year 2525.
Zagrin Evans.
Yeah, he huge hit back in 69 or 70, and it's been recorded in 28 different languages.
Amazing.
Just, all over. There's EDM versions of it, metal versions, just everything imaginable. In fact, he appreciates that because he's still making money off of selling that. But he was joking about how the German version was actually, the translation was very, very close to the exact, original words, which were, it's a science fiction song about, in this year, this is what's going to be happening in science and
right, 25, 25, 35, 35, 45, 45.
But he said the French version had nothing to do with his song. The French lyrics came out something like, the butterflies are floating along the riverbank as lovers stroll arm in arm.
Well, it's got a catchy melody, there's no question.
Well, that's the only part of it that was still there, but he's laughing all the way to the bank.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. I mean, I would much rather have written one song like Yesterday that was recorded by 2,000 people than have written a song that went #1 in 2 weeks and then died.
Yeah, amazing.
The little things like that in the industry people don't realize. If you have a song that slowly but surely climbs the charts, you make a whole lot more money as a songwriter than an American Idol hit or The Voice, where it's up, it's #1 for 2 weeks and then goes down, and you don't have all of those interim sales.
And Christmas songs can be a huge
year after
bank.
year after year.
Just keep pulling back.
And we're finally not hearing Grandma got run over by a reindeer. After how many years? I didn't hear it at all this past year. That's the first time.
Yeah.
But I mean that kept them going for a long time.
He was, if memory serves me right, a veterinarian from Northern California, and when I was playing in Reno and Tahoe, he used to come up every holiday and perform that around the casinos.
Yep, I remember it well.
Yeah, wow. So, any closing thoughts you have that you'd like to say about Indie Connect, about the business, anything?
I think probably the biggest thing is goes back to what I had mentioned before. surround yourself with people who know what they're doing in the industry.
Yeah.
You know, it's
get a team.
Yeah, get a team, and that team doesn't mean you have to have a manager. It doesn't mean you have to have a booking agent, but you do have to have somebody that you can call and say, I've got a challenge here. I got a question. I've got 2 different gigs that I've been offered. Which one would be more advantageous to me right now? Yeah. This one has a lot of people, but this one's going to have some big wigs there. Which one's more important to me?
Somebody that's been down the road before.
That's it. Who can help you make, I do this with business owners, help you make the critical decisions that make the difference in your career. And every day, artists are faced with those decisions. Do I spend this much time on Facebook? Or is there something more constructive that I can do? Can I try something over here? How much time do I spend on recording cover tunes or recording YouTube videos? How much, you know, how far should I be traveling with my gigs? How do I, you know, I mean, how do I build, how do I convert all those people that are going to my YouTube videos over to fans? You know, and they make, what I find is they make very basic mistakes. Like they can do everything right, but the website looks terrible. You know, they don't want to spend the time and the money to get the website. And to me, if I would give people any one piece of advice, you make that website shine and then you send everybody to that. It should be where you send a fan there. First of all, they need to be able to find you. So don't have some obtuse name and some obtuse spelling of something, because people don't know how to look for it. If your band is Red Onions and you spell it Onyins, no one's going to find you.
Right. Yes.
You know, because you look up red onions and you're going to get everything else but you. So and so you have to have that right. But it's your sales tool. It's your biggest and most valuable sales tool. So you send an entertainment buyer there, and they see right on the home page, they see your live video, and they say, I want them. I have to have them. They listen to your music. You know, a fan goes there and listens to your music, and right there is the iTunes button. I have to have it. Yeah. You make it easy for people to be your fans. You make it easy for them to make buying decisions, whether they're buying music, whether they're going to refer you to somebody else, whether they're going to buy your act. If you make it easy for them, and it's all done with just having a nice, clean website with the right things on it. Make it easy for people to find the music, easy for people to find the videos, have good photos. Somebody, there's a web designer in town that recently sent me, he said, you know, I said, can I see an example of what you do? So he sent me a band video that he did. And this gal had the most incredible, absolutely incredible EPK. 30 seconds of her talking in a suit, very formal, very professional. Goes right to the live shot of her performing, and she's got the crowd going crazy. And, you know, she's not world renowned or anything. She's a local artist, and she's, you know, kind of climbing the charts on the indie side and everything. But I immediately said, boy, if I had a venue, I don't care what the venue was, I would want her in there. Yeah. I was a booking agent for a long time. I was the entertainment buyer for the Nevada State Fair. I've looked through a lot of promos. You've got to catch my attention. Yeah. You've got to, because there are too many people that are going after my job, after that job. So as an artist, you've got to be able to stand out. And because so many people have really terrible websites, that I think is the key to putting yourself on another level. People will look at you totally different. They look at you as a professional. If your website is really clean, attractive, makes people, it captures the atmosphere, it's branded well for what you do, and it's really easy for them to navigate.
Yeah, terrific. Good advice. Check in with Vinny. So thanks again for watching, and hope to be seeing you in the studio. Give us a call, give us a tweet, email.
You won't regret it. This guy's amazing.
And as Tom Jackson is fond of saying, rock well and often.
There you go.
Good night.
Thank you, Gary.